Thanks so much for joining me today, and thanks to Mike and the team for letting us be part of the summit. Got about 20 minutes, so the goal of today's presentation is to share best practices so that you all as agency people can help businesses increase their visibility and drive to their business goals. I will share a link at the end to our monthly newsletter. This is where we dive a little bit deeper with tips and tricks that you can also share with some of your businesses. So it's got good best practices and new feature launches. So one thing I'm most excited about is that this past year has been pretty transformational for us. We've revamped a number of our user experiences on search, but even more so, I'm excited about the commitment that our product and engineering teams have made to build tools to make it easier for businesses to interact with and manage their business profiles. By way of introduction, my name is Lisa Landsman. I've been at Google for 19 years. Yes, 19 years. I'm on our partnerships team, and I lead our industry engagement and SMB education efforts. So working with partners and agencies like you all and businesses directly to make sure they've got all of the tools and best practices that they need to be successful. I do have a background leading our agency relationships here at Google, so I am keenly aware of how much value you all bring and some of the challenges you face. I did have some time on the agency side way back when. Most of my time spent in the restaurant space, but our team looks after a number of different business types, including hotels, tour operators, beauty salons, and a host of other verticals, mostly local based. So stepping back, Google's mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Every product area I've worked on follows that mission. As mentioned, I support local businesses. So if you think about restaurants and beauty salon information, we do our best to get that information from you or the businesses directly and present in a way that makes it easier for customers to connect to those businesses and the products that they care about. So think of yourself, right, as a searcher. What do you care about as well? And as agency folks, how can we help you and your businesses showcase what makes those businesses unique, right? And how do they connect with the customers that they care about? What's changed, though, since Google was founded was the type of information that's accessible and what our users are expecting. So we started with just blue links way back when, and now the experience is much more rich and more visual forward. So I've been lucky enough to be here through multiple monumental shifts in our industry, each bringing new challenges and opportunities. So think about it, right? It's hard to imagine a world without the internet or a world without our phones, but it really wasn't that long ago. And the world of AI is upon us, but this has been foundational to Google for a number of years. So if any of you are Google Photos users, you'll know the power of editing technology. So think about making people disappear in the background of your pictures. That's been an absolute gift. But we're excited for the latest push in relation to search using generative AI. So I'm going to show you a quick video to see how all of this comes to life.
I'ma make them talk like, whoa. Move fast, move slow. Catch me on a roll. Come say hello. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Yes, yes, yes.
Come say hello. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
And the answer is
yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Gonna talk like whoa, 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 whoa. I'ma make 'em talk like.
I'ma make them talk like, whoa.
Okay, first off, no, a hot dog is not a sandwich. And living in Chicago, which is where I'm based, you also can't put ketchup on a hot dog. So not sure if you all knew that. I learned the hard way when my father-in-law almost disowned me. He is a hardcore born and raised Chicagoan. It is traditional hot dogs only with just mustard and all of the other fixins. So who knew? I grew up in Florida. In the meantime, you may have noticed a couple of things from that video. One is that the searches started to get more specific. So imagine you are going out to a happy hour or on a date night and you want a place with an outdoor patio and a sunset view. You not only have the opportunity to use Google's business profiles to add photos and videos that showcase the business's offerings like that patio and a sunset view, the menu information, the attributes, right? All of those things are important to include. So the businesses you work with are showing up on those type of searches. The other thing that was really interesting, I don't know if you noticed the training plan, but we're now able to build itineraries for things like, a 5-day trip to Rome. So if you go into search and you type in, give me a 5-day itinerary for a trip to Rome, but then you change it and put in with kids and somebody in a wheelchair, we can assemble those results in real time and build a really customized itinerary. So think about that, right, from the business perspective and the agency perspective. What do you need to help those businesses do? And what information do you want them to put in their business profile so they are showing up, right, when people are searching for businesses that are related to that. So if you take nothing else away from this presentation, it is that the more information about your clients' businesses that you include, the better chance they have of showing up. And these searches, these very specific searches, these are not few and far between. This is common. And I'm sure as people doing the searches yourself, you can probably relate to that. Couple quick stats before we dive in. At Google, we love our data. You probably know this by now. Today, almost 70% of online experiences start with a search. Sometimes people know exactly what they're looking for. They might type in a business just to get the phone number or address, or sometimes they have no idea and they want to be inspired, right? So there's different mindsets that they're in. So we want to make sure we're there during no matter what they're looking for. And these near me searches continue to grow. So there's 8x more searches globally for open now near me. So people know what they want, when they want it, and they want it now. So make sure you've got all of that information, like your hours, updated so they know that you're open and may choose you or the business that you work with. And so we know that businesses are juggling ever shifting consumer behavior and endless demands of running their businesses, right? You work with them every day, you get it, it's a whirlwind. So our goal is really to make it simple. So make it easy for businesses to connect with customers, engage in an authentic manner, and help them grow their business, right? You're probably in the same mindset that we are. So together, how do we help those businesses do that? So we're going to go through 5 tactics today to help you help your clients update their business profiles. In some cases, you may be doing this for them. Otherwise, you may be consulting. So I want to share a couple of tips that you can pass along as well. So the first one is just be there. Just be there when they're looking for you is what we tell the businesses. I know it sounds basic, but you'd be surprised at how much of this information isn't there at all or is not correct. So businesses will appear across several surfaces. The biggest ones are Google Search and Google Maps. Each of these have over 1 billion users each. And so that's a lot of eyeballs, a lot of potential customers that they can get in front of by making sure all this information is up to date. And this is how people are searching, right? So this is a restaurant example here. So first, some people know exactly what business they want to go to. So they'll type in the name. They want the directions. They want a little bit more information, or they heard of it from somebody else, right? And how do they get more information about what they offer? So somebody might just want a specific location. You might be traveling, or you might be meeting a bunch of friends in Soho, for example. So you might want to find a place in a neighborhood. Or you've got something more specific in mind. I'm in the mood for Thai food, right? Or a specific product. I want a lobster roll tonight. I have a good friend who loves lobster rolls. So we got ready, planned a girls' night out for her birthday. And the number one priority was finding a place with the best lobster rolls. And the last one is attributes. So you might want to go and watch Wimbledon somewhere, right? We just watched that yesterday or this weekend, which was so exciting. And so these are all different types of searches that people could do. And frankly, this could be 10 pages long, but I think the most important thing about this slide is that these are all happening together. So somebody might be looking for a Thai place in Soho to go to with their friends, but that also has a TV, right? So these things work all together. So important to make sure the more information in those business profiles, the better of a chance these businesses have to show up. So think of it this way, right? This business profile is their identity. It's their digital storefront on Google. So it is worth the time to make it great. I always love this example because the one on the left is an actual real business and a popular business down in Nashville. I hid their name, just wanted to respect the fact that they were using them as this example. And then the one on the right is a business out of New York, Handcraft Burgers and Brew, where they've really taken all of the best practices and created what we see as a best-in-class example of a business profile. So if you were looking from a user perspective at these two places, where would you want to go? Right? And as an agency person, as you're advising their clients, you can think about, where do the businesses that you work with fit in here? Are they on the left? Are they on the right? My sense is they're probably somewhere in the middle, but how do you want to nudge them a little bit more to that example on the right? That richness, that more visual forward experience, so people can understand the vibe. What are they going to get when they go into that business? What do they offer, right? This hamburger or cheeseburger looks absolutely delicious and mouthwatering, so it might make me make that choice. Couple of basics here. Most of the businesses you work with probably have already done this, but if not, the first step is to make sure they have claimed their business profile so they can go in and make changes and edits. We used to require these postcards, which we got a lot of complaints about, and we've expanded the ways that people can actually verify their business. So there's SMS, there's video, there's phone. So hopefully that's made it a little bit easier. For those of you who do have businesses that have already claimed their profile, I'd recommend just letting them know to add two-factor authentication so they don't lose control of that business. And if you have access to it, you can do the same on your own. One quick note on business types. Some of you probably work with businesses who have storefront locations, right? It could be a restaurant, it could be a hotel, it could be a insurance company, right? That people can actually walk in, make an appointment, whatever that might be. But some of you probably work with businesses who are service area businesses who don't have a physical location. Just note there's a little bit different of a setup for them, given that they service a radius and they're not going to publish their address. So I want to just keep that in mind here. So basic business information, as you're advising your businesses, just a couple things to keep in mind. Make sure this is accurate. You would not believe the amount of 404 links for website and ordering links that we see, wrong phone numbers. The most important takeaway here for hours, and most businesses are good about updating their regular hours, but not good about updating their holiday hours. And so oftentimes, myself, I've been a victim of this. I tried to get my nails done on a Monday it was a holiday Monday, and all of the businesses, the salons in my area said they were open. So of course I drive to go there, assuming they're open, and they were closed. And there were 3 of them in a row that happened. So what happens then? The business lose credibility. We lose credibility. So just as you're advising your customers, just make sure you're paying attention to some of the basics. This is, some of you may have access to this. Some of you may have your own interfaces. I call this our mission control page. This is where businesses can go in. They can edit products and services. They can add photos. They can take action on much of what we're going to discuss today. They can get there by searching for my business on Google, frankly, or they can go into their account on Maps. You can see it in the lower right-hand corner. So again, if you have access to their accounts, you can do this yourself. Otherwise, just wanted to point out that there's this section within their profile. Business descriptions. This is pretty new. So using Gen AI, what we've done is took all of the information we know about a business, and we have a tool that's able to automatically generate a description. They may not need it. You're probably doing that for them, but it is kind of a fun tool to go and play around with. So they can use it, not use it, edit it. But something I wanted to just share since it came out in the last couple of months. So we found this through our research, and that we see 7 times more clicks for businesses with complete profiles. So think about posts, promotions, photos, hours, all of the stuff we're going to talk about today. They're much more likely to be visited because they have a complete profile. So those, a few other data points in here. 42% more directions requests for businesses with photos. 96% of customers are more likely to visit a business that shows their hours, right? Think about my example from the nail salon. I'm not going to get into that trap again. Now I'm making phone calls on holidays. So you want to make sure you're trustworthy. So thinking about this from your own perspective, looking for a business, it probably rings true for you as well. So the next section is about being relevant and showcasing what makes a business unique, especially as these searches get more specific. So attributes are a great way to tap into low-hanging fruit. We're always adding more. So we get some of these signals from customers and their reviews, but it's not perfect, and businesses are an authoritative source. So you can help these businesses go in and make sure they've got all of the right things here. So again, think about the way people are searching and the type of things they're searching for. They might want an outdoor patio. They might want accessibility options for somebody in a wheelchair. They might be interested in supporting women-owned businesses. So there's a whole bunch of attributes here that you can help them go in and make sure that they're selected. And then people want to know about what a business offers, right? What's on the restaurant menu? Do they have vegetarian dishes? If they're a service business, what services do they provide and at what cost? Does the salon have balayage? That is a hairstyle or a hair treatment for those of you who don't know. If they're a retailer, what products do they carry in store? So just a few things to point out on this slide. Menu links should be used to link people to the business's site with that menu. So some people like to go directly to the site, giving them an accurate link, very easy way to do that. Menu photos are another way. So a lot of customers are uploading photos of menus and service lists, and sometimes they're blurry or outdated. So the business or you as the agency representing their business, y'all are the best source of this information. So I would advise you or have you advise your businesses to go in and just remove anything that's outdated or blurry because people actually do engage. And the last thing I'll point out on this slide, on the right-hand side, what you'll see what we call structured menus. So this format includes title, description, pricing, and for restaurants, we now have an item level photo. So a much richer looking experience, and we see the most engagement here. So I would advise you to help advise your businesses, or if you guys are managing it for them, make sure that you have a very robust menu because this really gets looked at quite a bit. One thing for restaurants I wanted to point out, this just launched, so we're pretty excited about it. And we're trying to make these tools, as I mentioned earlier, to make it easier for businesses to update their business profile. So whether you use it or you've got businesses that are using it, you can actually take a picture of a menu now. This is just for restaurants today. But you can take a menu and in 30 seconds, it turns it into that structured menu like I showed you on that previous slide. It doesn't add the photos, but it gives you title, description, and pricing. So pretty magical experience. This is just starting out, so it supports one-page menus today, but we're looking to add support for things like PDF and multi-page menus. That's coming soon. Photos and videos. As mentioned earlier, and you've probably noticed yourself, our search experiences are becoming much more visual forward. So we know photos and videos really tell the story of a business. So it is worth the time to make it great, right? People want to know what's the vibe. What does that patio look like? How might I feel when I go in there? Is it good for groups, kids, date night, girls' night? If the business is a hair salon or a tattoo parlor, someone might want to see those photos of the work, the tattoo artwork style, examples of nail art. Now, listen, if they're an insurance company, it may not matter this much to have, a deep, rich set of photos. But don't forget the friendly faces on the interior or frankly the exterior as someone's driving to try and find your location. Those are incredibly helpful. Think about those businesses that are hidden in a strip mall and hard to find. So how do you tell the story? What story do you want to tell, right? And how do you do that through rich imagery? So this is important, again, from this section. The more information, attributes, photos, videos, offerings, all of these things are really, really important. And so it doesn't matter what vertical you're in. As I mentioned, even the insurance agents, you definitely want to have some pictures in there as well. All right, be ready when people are looking to take action, right? So we know that 50% of users, when they come to Google, they're looking to take action right now, right? So how do we help facilitate that together? So a couple things here. One, we've got appointment booking links, reserve with Google. This is live globally across verticals. This experience is powered by partners. So if you are one yourself or you're working with them or your business is working with someone, most of this comes through our integrated partners. So there's a technology component here, but you'll see the book online links here. There's also an opportunity to and anybody can do this, you can do this, the business can do this as well, just adding the link out to that booking site. So very easy to do. Again, make sure that's accurate. And then what we're starting to do is bring a lot of these actions experiences more front and center, upper funnel and search. So they used to only live within the business profile, but today you'll be able to take action from anywhere across the surfaces, which is pretty exciting. This is an example for restaurants. Again, for reservations, we are working specifically with integrated partners. For ordering, for food ordering, you can just add the link yourself, or the business can do it themselves. And then when you click on these, you'll see a whole bunch of different partners that somebody can order from, and then we link directly out to their site. One double click here is that you can set, or the business can set, this preferred by business. So if there's a specific ordering partner that is more cost effective, or for some reason they want customers to use, they can flag that in this preferred by business tag. So engagement is key. Many businesses have historically engaged by responding to reviews, which is fantastic, and we encourage them to continue to please do so. In many cases, users engage in different ways. So we have the call button, we have the action links we just talked about, and for some businesses, there's already robust customer support in place. Others are thrilled to get a phone call when others really, or request a quote, others aren't, right? So if it's a restaurant, as an example, they don't want to answer the phone, right? They're too busy. And so what is that right communication? What is that engagement style for the businesses that you work with? So we've got a couple that I'm going to walk through today. I will talk about reviews you may not be managing for the businesses that you work with, but do want to give you a couple tips to pass along. One is just make sure they're responding to reviews. We see a lot of inconsistencies. Some only respond to positive, some only respond to negative, and a lot don't respond to any, right? And some respond to all. Try and be consistent. This really helps develop that relationship with customers, right? This helps build a brand. It helps build community. So I would advise the businesses you work with to please make sure they're engaged here. Also, don't be afraid to solicit reviews. So people like to leave reviews for businesses, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, but it's really good to have that dialogue with customers. And we've seen some great creative ways that people have solicited reviews. Now, you can't pay them or anything, but one example is a barbershop that had a Wi-Fi password of leave a 5-star review, which I thought was really cute. So something to pass along. Best practices for negative reviews. We know that not all reviews are positive. These are some tips that you can share if you're not already having this conversation. So the first one's just tell them not to panic. When there's a negative review, it's going to happen. It happens to the best of businesses, but take a beat, evaluate the situation, look into the experience. Recommendation would be to respond nicely, communicate you're sorry that they had this experience and you're appreciative of the feedback. And then they can move the conversation offline to address, which is even better. I think you and they would probably be surprised with how well people respond when businesses are kind in their communication. And sometimes users actually update their ratings and reviews to be like, wow, they reached out to me and they were so kind. It doesn't happen in every case, but if you are looking at a business and you see this dialogue, it might have, a more positive impact on how you feel about the business. And then, of course, if there's something inappropriate that violates policy, please make sure to flag that. Business posts, great way to let customers know about events and deals for a business. So these do show up in multiple places on Google. And a new place that launched, I think it was just this year, actually, is called the Nearby Events and Deals module. So if you search for taco specials near me, you can scroll down the search page and you'll stumble upon some great taco specials. So this is an area that our team is focusing on. Think about, deals, events, weekend fun, right? What do I want to do this weekend? How do we surface a lot more of that information more easily to users? So the more that we're getting from the businesses that you work with and you all directly, the better. Social media profiles, you've been able to add these social media profiles for a while, so you can add up to 7. We only show 5 at a time. This is great because, you can help people connect with the business's social media accounts. But now what we've started doing is bringing some of those social posts onto the search experience. So they're showing up on Google, just pretty exciting and a very new development over the last couple of months. All right, home stretch. You guys may already be working with them on insights and you may have even more than what we provide, but did want to share a couple of things that might be useful for you guys. So how to track business performance. So like, what are people searching on to get to your business, right? You can see the search terms that are featuring the listing. So for example, if somebody's looking for salmon, right? this might be something you think about in the rest of your marketing materials. How do you take that information and make it useful for you? Menu interactions. So if somebody's changing something in the menu or the service list, did it have a positive impact, a negative impact, no impact? And then obviously you can monitor the reservation bookings and orders, things like that from the profile. So that is what I had for you today. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have a monthly newsletter we just launched. We've been out for 2 months and we'll be sending our next one at the end of July. So feel free, if you want to take a picture of this QR code, you could subscribe yourself. We see a lot of agencies and partners who are taking snippets out of it already, putting it in their own communications to send out to their customers, or you can forward the newsletter along or forward the subscription link along. Again, it's free and it gives lots of good tips and tricks, updates on new product feature launches. And then we have a quick survey. I hope this was useful for you. We are happy to take some Q&A. Thanks so much again for having us.